These are the 4 signs that you're not ready to buy a home. And most people think it's like the obvious stuff, like having enough money for a down payment. Don't worry, this is fake money. Or having a high credit score. But the real signs don't even look like problems. They look like excitement. And they're exactly what leaves people house poor and stuck for 30 years. Because getting this wrong isn't something that you can fix in a weekend. Home buying is a pretty irreversible decision that will cost you thousands if you had to undo. And just one of these signs showing up is enough to stop and rethink home buying. And I know what these exactly look like because I've helped over 500 families buy in every kind of market. And these 4 signs are the first thing I look for before anything else. And the first thing you need to understand about buying a home is it is a big decision. So let me show you this trick I use pretty much for every big decision in my life. And it's called inverted thinking. So it comes from a guy named Charlie Munger. You might have heard of him. He's a late famous investor who had a net worth of $2.6 billion. So quite a bit of money. Like I said, it's called inversion thinking. Instead of asking, how do I do this right? I want you to flip it and ask, how do I guarantee that I just screw this up completely? And then just do the opposite of the screwing up completely thing. Okay. So I'll give you an example. If I said, hey, how do I absolutely not get healthy and gain more weight? You'll be like, okay, we just don't move, eat unhealthy foods, right? Let's not get any sleep, drink alcohol all the time, right? That's an example. So you would just do the opposite of that and then iterate from there. So let's do it here for home buying. So if I wanted to guarantee that you regret buying a house or a home, here's exactly what I'd tell you is rush the whole thing. Don't make a real plan, have a bad team, avoid the numbers like the bubonic plague, and buy a house that doesn't fit your needs. So that's inverted thinking. And at the end of each section too, you'll actually do inverted thinking so you know these are the signs of what not to do. So that way you flip it and you know exactly what to do. Okay, so let's go with sign number 1, that you're not ready to buy, which is you're scrolling Zillow every night with no game plan. So it's 10 p.m., you're on the couch or already in bed and you're deep into Zillow again. So saving homes, doing the favorite button, right? That you know that you're never gonna tour, blue light, blasting your face so you're already getting worse sleep. And you've been doing this for weeks and months. So comment down below if you've done it before. So I've done it too. I'll admit it. First thing to getting better is admitting it, right? So it's a guilty pleasure. And like I said, I'll admit it too. So now here's the problem. You're basically shopping before you have a plan. It's almost like putting the cart before the horse, right? The actions make sense, but the order is the wrong thing. Now, all these YouTube videos are going to tell you, hey, it's a simple fix, get pre-approved or, get pre-qualified. Now, that's not wrong, but when you double click into it, you realize that's actually not really helpful. It's like if I gave you advice, how to buy a house. Yeah, just make $1 million and life will be good. It's like, okay, that's true, but that's actually not helpful. So getting the wrong kind of pre-approval or pre-qualification is kind of like showing up to the airport with a boarding pass, but to the wrong airline or gate, okay? So you get a piece of paper, which is the pre-approval or pre-qualification, right? So you're standing in line and you're getting ready to board, but you're really not going to find out that you're not ready until you get to the gate and the stewardess whoever's checking you in is like, hey, thank you, but you're at the wrong gate here. So the smartest move you can make to get ready isn't a pre-approval or pre-qualification. Okay, it's actually finding the right who to talk to, whether that's the right realtor or right mortgage advisor. Either one of them should point you in the right direction on what the right game plan is going to be. And again, they shouldn't just hand you, here's your number and good luck. They should actually hand you a game plan. So here's how you know that you're talking to the right person because, I can't interview everyone for you. So I'm going to teach you the framework, right? So this is probably the highest leverage thing that I can do, which is again, teaching you the pattern instead of, trying to memorize everything. Okay. So what I'm going to do is try to teach you what good looks like. When you leave the conversation with that person, whether it's a good realtor or mortgage person, right? You should leave that conversation with next steps and a clear plan, not just like an interest rate or whatever, right? If they're terrible about giving you a plan, how do you think they're going to perform when you have a high stakes decision of closing on a home with a very tight timeline? Next, I would look for is, did that person ask you about your life and life goals and goals with the house? Because buying a house is going to cost you money. So we have to make sure it's aligned with your goals, right? If they never asked, then how would they be able to fit it to your goals, right? Next is you walk away feeling less anxious, not more. If you feel more anxious, that is a bad sign, okay? So I don't know about you, but if you go to, let's say, if you're going to get a massage, right? You should feel more relaxed afterwards, not more unrelaxed, right? That's what you're paying it for. So here's another way to think about it. So whenever I bring like a tax person or an estate attorney, a real estate agent, whoever it is, right? I do the same thing every time. I say, I'm going to, pay for your time. Here's my exact scenario. Now tell me, how would you save me the most money? If it's a tax person, how would you protect me the most? If it's a estate attorney, things like that. Or how would you sell my house for top dollar in a tough market? So the person who can teach me the most and the one that gives me the clearest plan or like the closest proximity to my ideal outcome, that's the person who's actually going to help me. So that's the framework. The right advisor teaches you and hands you a plan. Okay. The wrong one just hands you a number and tells you, get out of here. And it tells you to scram and send you back to Zillow, right? So here's the inverted thinking. How can I tell you're not ready to buy a home? You just scroll on Zillow and you take no action. What's the opposite? A ready buyer, they talk to the right person, assemble, the Avengers team. You've seen it on my channel, Avengers. Comment down below who's your favorite Avengers. So you want to go to battle with the best team, not the worst team. And real quick, instead of doom scrolling through Zillow, like I mentioned, why not scroll and get actually something helpful? And that's actually why I made the free homebuyer readiness quiz. It takes less than 30 seconds. There's no credit pull at all. And if you have a constraint in the home buying process, I send you a video to solve that so that we can move on to the next step. It's my free gift to you. Check it out in the link down below. Also, if you want more like a custom, one-on-one game plan, that's actually why I have the guidance call link down below. It's actually right below that. So if you want more of a tailored, advice for your specific situation, that's there for you as a free resource as well. Let's get back into it. So sign number 2, that you are not ready to buy a home. You're buying to escape something instead of moving towards something, all right? So this one's a little sneaky because it doesn't feel like a red flag. It's more like a motivation, I should say. So imagine this, your lease is up or your roommates are, driving you insane, or maybe a breakup just happened and you want a fresh start, in a place that's, finally yours. Or the job's miserable that you have right now and you want to buy a house that feels like one thing in your life that's actually going right. So the house quietly stops being a goal and it becomes more of an escape, if that makes sense. I want you to think about it this way, right? Imagine if I told you, hey, I'm running away from a bad relationship, so I'm just gonna marry the next person that I meet so that way I'm finally out of pain. You look at me and be like, that seems a little crazy. Yes, and you're right. You're like, that makes no sense. The person you marry should be someone that is, pulling you towards something, like there's gravity. Maybe you have common goals and you actually want to, build something together. That's the more logical advice, right? Well, same thing with buying a house. You shouldn't be running away from your old place. You should be pulled towards the new lifestyle of owning a home. And this is the part when, you got to have a real Mulan moment. All right, the scene. She's staring at the reflection, looking back at her, asking, who even is that? So buying a house is one of those mirror moments, right? You've got to look at yourself and honestly ask, am I moving toward the life that I want? Or am I just, trying to run away from the one that I've got? And honestly, nobody can really answer that for you. Not even your realtor or your lender, definitely not your group chat, okay? That's one that you just got to sit with and, stare at yourself in the mirror, right? And again, you don't want to dishonor yourself. Like the wise words of Mushu from Mulan. And I was actually having fun about, making this section. If you're born in the 90s, comment down below if you have kids. I'm super excited to have my son watch the cartoons that I watched growing up. So just super excited for that. Okay, so no joking in this channel, right? Because mortgages and real estate is a very serious topic. So no more jokes. Okay, so here's a frame that you can use that can help you to figure out if you are running towards something or away from something. So ask yourself this: if there was no pressure from your family, friends, or society, what would you actually do? Okay, so use that. That'll get you closer to the real answer. So going back to inversion thinking. So how can I tell that you're not ready to buy a home? Is wanting to buy because it's not the worst option. Bad. So what's the opposite? You're not settling, you're buying a home that actually aligns with your long-term goals and it's pulling you towards like the person that you want to become. Sign number 3, that you're not ready to buy a home. You need a gas pedal and a brake, and you've only got one. So here's a rule I give every buyer. A good home purchase needs a gas pedal and a brake. So imagine this, if you, like in a car, you have 2 gas pedals, right? Dangerous. You have 2 big dreamers, right? Yeah, you're gonna overspend, you're gonna end up on the streets, you overdream, and you end up house poor, right? So there's no foot off the gas. It's just gas all the time, right? If you have 2 brakes in your relationship, or if you're buying by yourself, That's the person who's like just pure numbers, the accountant, the hey, let's think about it logically type of thing, right? You never move. You have analysis paralysis. You'll wait for the perfect time for the next 10 years, and then 10 years goes by, and then another 10 years goes by, etc. So what you actually need is each one of those. You need a gas and a brake pedal. One person who's seeing the future, the vision, the life in the home, who takes a small bet, and one person who's watching out for the numbers, the closing costs, the fine print. And if you're buying by yourself, I hate to tell you, but you've got to play both roles. Maybe you're a single parent, or you haven't found the right person to tie the knot yet. I know it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. And I know it's harder, but it is definitely doable, becoming the gas and brake pedal. So let's say you only have a gas pedal. Let's kind of play it out, right? You only look at homes on Zillow, and you only go on open houses that are not in your budget, and you keep going up and up and up and up. So now you're looking at 500,000, now it's 1 million, now it's 1.5. You're going all over the place, right? And then you're thinking, oh, what if we just, sell everything, move in this place so we can buy this house, be awesome, without actually sitting down and be like, hey, what are the consequences of me doing this? On the flip side, let's say you are only a brake pedal, someone only looking at the spreadsheet that thinks that they can calculate everything. And I've done that too. And by the way, I'm more the brake person, okay? Having that engineer background, analysis paralysis is a real thing. So thinking that, nothing else matters. So this person completely ignores the personal side. Now, some of you watching this might be like, well, numbers are numbers and the numbers don't lie. I used to think like that, right? So what I urge you, I would say having a better balance now is to think about the life that doesn't live on paper, right? If you think about it fundamentally, it's like, why do we have a Netflix account? Why do you have Spotify or Apple Music? Like, why do you hang out with your friends? Why do you eat out, right? Technically, those are all waste of money. It does not get you closer to if your goal is to save up more money, then technically all of those do not help you save more money. So, but at the end of the day, most people have that to have a little bit of enjoyment, right? It's a little balance. And that's what I call the life that doesn't live on paper, okay? So summing this all up here, if you're that gas pedal or the dreamer and it comes to the numbers and you freak out about going over the paperwork, that's something that we got to work on, because no one else is going to care about you being comfortable making your mortgage payment besides you, right? And it's just like the law. Ignorance of the law is not a defense. You signed it, so it is your payment. If you're the brake pedal, or let's call it the accountant, I used to be like this too, right? Being hyper-focused on relying on the math to tell you what the outcome should be. I'd urge you, if you're trying to calculate what makes the most sense, you actually have to take an accurate picture. And an accurate picture means you're including all variables in your decision. That also includes the life that doesn't live on paper, right? What enjoyment do you have? What's like the personal ROI, not just the financial ROI? So some of you might relate to this. Being a recent dad, my son, right now is about 8 weeks old. As I'm recording this, before I didn't understand, like, what do you mean the feeling is gonna be like this great feeling? Just seeing him grow up and, bonding with him. The parents who are on the other side, who have experienced, raising a kid, they know what that life looks like, right? The life that doesn't, live on paper compared to me when I didn't have a kid, where I was just spreadsheet, right? So going back to inversion thinking is how can I tell that you're not ready to buy a home is being unbalanced, either only wanting to go, and not think about the consequences, or being so caught up on getting the 0.0000001% extra returns on your spreadsheet and having analysis paralysis, which means no decision, okay? So what do? Let's do the opposite. You gotta have the gas pedal and the brake, just like a car, so you can get to where you want to go to safely. So real quick, instead of doom scrolling through Zillow, why not scroll and actually get helpful advice on how to get ready? So that's actually why I built a free homebuyer readiness quiz. It's in a link down below. It takes less than 30 seconds. There's no credit pull at all. It's my free gift to you. And I hope you enjoy these types of videos, because I can send you tailored videos for that specific constraint that you have. You solve it, you move on to the next thing. Also, if you want more of a one-on-one game plan, schedule in the guidance call down below. It's a link right below that. And that's where I can actually, understand your situation, give you more, tailored advice. If you're interested in that, check it out down below, and let's get back to it. Okay, sign number 4, that you're not ready to buy. You're more excited to tell people that you're buying a house than to actually live in the home. So this last one's like a gut check. So slow down with me for a second, okay? So you wanna ask yourself honestly, are you more excited about the house or telling everyone you bought a house? Okay, small distinction. Are you caring more about the housewarming, the announcement or the Instagram post? Because if you're picturing, the reveal more than, picturing a random Tuesday night of actually living in the place and, something breaking, that is, in my opinion, focusing on status, not necessarily like needing to buy a house. Like for real, right? If you're spending more time on the Instagram caption than you're reviewing your loan documents or the purchase contract, that should tell you everything you need to know on whether or not we're buying for the right reason. So this is also why I make these videos. It's like kind of like a reminder to my younger self, or even my 8-week-old son now. Hopefully he watches these videos and can learn from mistakes that I've made. But talking about the past, in the beginning, I bought a few investment properties like early on in my investing career. And I'll be honest, I was more excited to tell everybody about the rental property that I bought than I was actually to, sit down and maximize the ROI and making sure it's a good investment, right? And if I could go back in time, I would, shake my younger self and be like, hey, slow down here, do your due diligence first and actually do it. Don't just say you're trying to check it off the box, right? Like, have you actually maximized the ROI on your property? Have you capped out the real rental potential for that property? Could you add amenities, renovate, or anything like that? Really maximize the asset that you bought, right? Because here's something that nobody tells you is once you own a property, it's like risks, the parking situation, the neighborhood, all the quirks and features. But when you buy a new property, you buy new risks. You don't know the neighborhood as well. You have a new set of risks involved and you have to learn it, right? Especially if it's out of state. And for me, I was too busy posting instead of focusing on maximizing the rental property. So going to inversion thinking, how can I tell that you're not ready to buy a home is caring only about the posts. So what's the opposite is you want to picture yourself in the, boring, mundane, ordinary day in the house. And if it still matches with your goals, that's great. If it doesn't, go back to the drawing board. All right, as always, I try to make the best videos in the mortgage education space. If you find value out of it, give it a like, subscribe, or comment. Trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year would mean the world if you can join the family here. And YouTube is recommending that you watch this video right over here. Go check it out. It's super smart. I think you'll enjoy it, and I'll catch you on the next one.